we can leave microphones on if you're comfortable. You might hear my dog barking or kids or something like that, but it's real life with Zoom now. So that's what we got. So we're just going to do a little bit of movement and breathing. These are not yoga postures. I won't use the Sanskrit. Forget yoga. We're not doing yoga. We're just going to stand. If you can stand. I don't have to see you or, you know, grade your movements. So when we practice like series or what we do we're moving the body in such a way that the movements complement the natural flow of the breath. Okay. Is the audio okay or is it frozen?
Sometimes it lags. Yeah, sometimes it's frozen, at least on my side.
Yeah.
Yeah, my side too.
My computer is very old. I have one ordered. So if it gets to a point where it's not clear, you can interrupt me and we wait and, you know, be patient. So the first breath, you're just standing on the feet. You can use Ujjayi technique. You can just breathe. It's not a problem either way. So first, just take a moment, feel the body. So we're kind of coming into a mini practice space. And then just take 3 long and deep breaths. And with each breath, see if you can feel like your inhale is a complete inhale. Exhale is a complete exhale. Okay? So 3 breaths like that. And as you're breathing, feel the torso of the body from shoulders to pelvic floor, just sort of what you're noticing about how the body feels just taking these 3 breaths. And then after the 3 breaths, we're going to take 3 more breaths, but this time we're going to move the arms. So we'll inhale up and exhale down. So 3 times, full inhale, full exhale. Whenever you're ready. Good. Arms up and down. Good. And just do, when I say long breath, let's do about 6 seconds, 6 count, inhale, exhale. Or we'll have Nico here for about 20 minutes. So we just do. Good, there you go. So what's great about having a long breath is you have the capacity to make it shorter and still have a full breath. Okay? So noticing how it feels now to move the arms and breathe compared to just standing and breathing. Good. And so now we're going to try something a little bit different. This is called breath adaptation in asana. We do this sometimes. This is a little more advanced and we're not warmed up, but it should be fine for everybody here. So all we're going to do, just watch for a second. We're going to do the same movement. Inhale up. This time, we're going to stop the breath a moment and let the arms come down before the exhale. Okay, so try that. Inhale up. Reach, 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 reach up. Hold the breath in, throat open, arms down. Feel how the body is, and then let the exhale come. Do that again. Inhale up. Reach, 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 reach. Feel this rib cage move away from the pelvis. Arms come down, holding the breath in, feeling the posture, and then exhale. One more time. Inhale up. Hold the breath still. Let the arms come down. And then let the exhale come. Okay. So what do you notice when you do that last exercise? Just what do you feel in your body? There's no wrong answer.
Like for me, because I had to pause after the arms were down, and then he said, watch the body, I could see how my torso stayed lifted, and there was this expansion in the upper body before the exhalation came, which was not the case, which was the case a little bit at the very beginning, like when there was no movement, I could feel my body and the air in the body, but as I move, it feels as if the moving leg, like the arms moving, take the energy of the inhalation, and it doesn't give this space. I cannot concentrate on the spaciousness here when the movement was happening.
Okay.
But when the movement was...
Without thinking, the movement created the spaciousness for you. Because the ribs were up.
Yeah.
No?
Like, I just, like, when there was a pause after the inhalation, it was easier to see the condition of the body than when moving to see the condition of the body.
Okay.
It felt
and Olga, go ahead.
Yeah, Nico put it perfectly.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much the same.
The same. And Richard, anything else or something similar?
I absolutely agree with Nico.
Okay.
No, but because I didn't really notice it myself, but when he put it that way, like I could remember just like 5 seconds ago. Okay, when the arms were down, like your
this kind of
chest
thing,
was,
right?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So we can add a little bit to that. So this lifting of the rib cage is a conscious muscular action. This is, if you're ever doing seated bandha, this is the foundation of Uddiyana bandha, or even Kapalabhati, this lifting of the rib cage. So the asana, remember last week I said, asana prepares the breath for pranayama. Hey, Penny. So this is what the movement does. So the inhale, so Olga, you mentioned with the rib cage, this integration of the rib cage. When we're sitting in meditation or doing a seated practice generally that's not pranayama, we're looking for simple, efficient breathing. So just the belly moving in and out is the response of the diaphragm sinking into the belly. But the diaphragm doesn't just sink into the belly. You can imagine like a jellyfish. And the middle of the jellyfish goes down as the sides of the jellyfish go up. And if you watch a jellyfish swim, that's your homework, watch a jellyfish swim. So the top of the jellyfish is connected to these bones here. So this action of lifting is a support and amplification of the action of the diaphragm. The diaphragm pulls on the connective tissue surrounding the lungs, creating a deeper vacuum, letting that inhale come. And as the rib cage closes, you're also supporting the relaxation of the diaphragm. So now if you stand back up, and Penny, Mia will do a second exercise so you can figure out where we are. And this is recorded, so you can start from the beginning at your own pace. So now, everybody who just did this, stand and see if you can find this action with the arms down. So the belly still comes out. I'll demonstrate with my great soft belly. So if the ribs don't enact, we take an inhale, the belly still comes out. But if we engage the ribs and lift, even if I'm holding the belly out, the belly feels like it comes in because now it's getting lifted and extended through this ribs. So see if you can find that. Good now. And Richard, like, just use the arms again. If you kind of forget, okay, inhale up. Reach, 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 reach. So this, your body already knows how to do it. If you reach your arms up, you activate the rib cage. Lift the arms down. You can keep this lifted up and keep talking and exhaling and everything. This is a conscious action. It takes a little bit of effort to keep it lifted, but just because you're exhaling doesn't mean you have to lift it down. It takes a little work though. So this is the deeper control we learn as we work with the deeper breath. And this is why in many deepening the breath, just because there's a greater awareness of the body mechanics as you have to deepen the breath. Right? And then we look a little bit at the second side, because this inhale, which we often focus on as sort of an action, if we work a lot with the exhale, we can feel the inhale becoming a reaction. So we're going to do just 2 movements, not yoga postures, just movements. We're going to come to the ground, hands and knees, very simple. And just 3 times with the count of about 6 count inhale, 6 count exhale. Down, head down, heels, feet, knees together. Inhale, back up. So details aren't so important. Just move with your breath 3 times and feel that movement. Inhale coming up, exhale, moving back. And Penny, watch this last one, depending on how the head's doing, if there's any migraines or anything. Be gentle with the breath, okay? Good. I like the placement of Nico's camera. Like I know when he's up, he's right there. It's great. Good. Okay, simple movement. No, it's great. All right, now continue those 3 breaths. Feel the exhale. And we're going to continue the same thing. Exhale is a complete exhale. Inhale, complete inhale. So feel empty as you exhale, fill up as you inhale. And so now we're going to really see how to properly empty on exhale. So the next 3 times, you're going to do the same thing, except now after the exhale, I want you to chant. Simple sound. It's not singing, it's chanting. Just the sound, ma, until you cannot chant anymore. And you leave the microphone on. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So then I can hear what's happening. So go back. It can be quiet. You don't have to chant for the room. Go back until it's gone. Pause. Let the inhale come as it's ready. Go back again 3 times in total.
Which mantra again?
Did you have a question, Richard?
Yeah, which mantra?
Just ma. The sound ma.
Okay.
Ma. Just the sound so that you can hear. Because when we're not chanting, we can cheat a little easier. When you're making a sound, you can't lie to yourself because you can hear it. And notice how much air you still have left in your body after the exhale. After the 3rd time, we're going to come back to standing and empty that exhale out just a little bit more. So when you finish 3 times, chanting after exhale will come up to standing. So this is part of a longer sequence that we've done with Micha, who just popped on. And it's essentially a sequence that prepares the mind for quiet, deep sitting. So now we're going to do the same thing. 3 times, just go down, touch the floor on exhale, come back up. So inhale, arms can come up or stay on the body. Just come down, touch the floor on exhale. Inhale, come up. Exhale down. Okay, this is just a test to make sure your Kreislauf feels comfortable. If you're feeling dizziness or any weakness or headaches, you might not want to do the next adaptation. But you can listen to it and it's recorded so you have time to. Okay. Good. And then after 3 times, we'll do just like we did in the last movement. The next time you come down, full exhale, and then find the mantra. And let the inhale come as an invitation. Okay. Exhaling down, chanting until the air is gone. Let the inhale come. Respect the great German word Kreislauf, which is like the prana body. So if you're feeling any discomfort, we can do this in a chair, same effect, or keep doing it on the feet. Once you complete 3 rounds, we'll come back to standing. And we'll do one more slightly more challenging version. So this time, we'll come up, inhale. We'll stay here, exhale. After the exhale, then let the inhale come. Hi, Danny. Welcome.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi. So we recorded this first part, Danny. You can watch it. It's a little sequence to feel the breath biomechanics. We're almost complete here.
Okay.
You might find you clearly run out of breath at different areas. That's fine. This is kind of a strong adaptation. When you feel the body. So this is manipulation of the breath in asana for a particular purpose, to demonstrate a certain experience in the body. And then for those of you who did the exercises, any feedback or observations on what happened there? Go, Nico.
Yeah, I feel I understand why you call it manipulation of the breath. The first times I tried to do the ma, it was super short and it felt as if I was about to explode, kind of thing.
Well,
like there was no air.
Yeah, that's there should be. You've exhaled. You have an efficient exhale.
However, as soon as the time passed by and you made us stand up and do exhale at the top and then say ma to go down, it felt I could explore a much bigger capacity of air that had stayed in my body. And I feel that the amount of air was the same as before. The fear factor was kind of leaving me because of the previous experience. So I didn't die in the previous exercise. So most probably I won't even die now.
Probably not.
So let's have some more faith to what she's saying to do. And it felt easier. Thank you.
Then we talk about abhyasa and vairagya. This is foundation.
Every day, die a
So
little.
trusting your own breath. That's a really, die a little bit. It's good. Yeah. So this is why we start. I don't want to manipulate at the beginning, because manipulating your breath is really manipulating something deep. And you know, when I was younger and I was learning how to sail on a little, you know, the little boats without the weights on the bottom, so they flip very easily. I remember one of the classes, a friend of mine was visiting, and he'd been sailing for 10 years. You know, he was a master, and he was sitting in my boat as I was doing captain that class, and the wind was picking up a lot. And I said, "What do I do?" And he's very calm, leaning back, said, well, where do you want to go? And even then I'm like, wow, that was really deep, man. That was, so it's, you know, so to manipulate, you have to know where you are and where you're going. So this manipulation was just about demonstrating what Olga brought up in her feedback, was feeling this sort of full torso, inhale, exhale kind of thing. And Olga, what did you find in this, this last one? When we exhaled completely, what was your experience of that?
I have to try it another time, I think, because it's kind of confusing right now, too much information.
Okay, good. I try to break it down. So work with this one a little bit and notice how your inhale responds.
Mm-hmm.
So here, working with exhale very deeply will have an impact on your inhale. And so for you, that could be a useful one. So the first one is a little bit, but the second one is actually more about the inhale, even though we focus on the exhale. So that can be something just to try.
Okay.
Everybody else, welcome. You have now a recorded little sequence. If you're, what I told everybody here, if your Kreislauf is feeling a little bit off, it might not be a sequence for you. It's just a sequence to demonstrate something. And we'll continue today moving a little bit more in the direction of working with what we have and expanding that. And next time we'll do a little, we can call it pranayama, but it's about a little bit controlling the flow of the breath. Before we get into the technique of Nadi Shodhana, are there any other questions, comments, or feedbacks about what we're doing so far? Okay, let's begin. So I sent these little documents here to what I think is important to focus on as we continue the exploration of finding out where the breath is now and then figuring out where to take it. So I'll use this word in English, which is called valving, like a valve. I don't know what the German word is. Somebody taught me once and I've forgotten it. If you have water going through a hose, in order for the water to escape, there is a device that you can tighten or loosen. More water can come, less water can come. We call that a valve. And so anywhere the air is leaving the body, I'm going to call that action valving. I don't know if anybody outside of the tradition I work with calls it that, but that's what I call it. So when we talk about these techniques, it's important to remember the work that we just did, that little bit of movement, was to remind us that it's these muscles in the torso that are controlling the flow of breath. And where the breath exits the body, there should not be pressure, because the strength to control the breath is coming from here, these strong muscles, the ribs, diaphragm, and even the abdominal muscles and pelvic floor. So the Ujjayi technique we did last week, you've all worked with that. And I don't think I can add much to that. But I thought we would work with an alternate nostril technique. So there's many different techniques of controlling the flow of the breath out through the nostrils. And this is a big part of the pranayama work because of this model we talked about last time with the prana body. And this prana, whatever this experience of prana is, the model in this system is that the prana is not just present in the body, it moves through channels they call nadis. And we'll focus on, you know, the model, one model is that there's 72,000 nadis. We'll work with 3, that's it. So we talked about the center channel last week, and I sort of shared this on the handout. Let me see, where is my handout? Let me share this. So this little person I drew here. So the center channel, this is Sushumna, I drew here as a sort of black line from the pelvic floor up to the crown of the head. This is sort of the home of prana, where we call prana back to. When there's an obstruction of prana to move through this center channel of the body, this is the foundation of dis-ease or illness in the body in this system. And so there's 2 main channels that sort of circle or wrap around the Sushumna, the Ida and Pingala. So there's many ways that these 2 channels are described. Masa, the sun side, Pingala. Ida is the feminine, Pingala is the masculine, right side masculine, left side feminine. And where these 2 spiraling nadis intersect in the Sushumna is what we identify as the chakra points. And so in the system of Ashtanga Yoga, we have yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, before we go into the inner practices, purely inner practices. And so many of the classical ways we can work with pratyahara is to then take the insights gained through the pranayama practice and identify and hold prana in different parts of the body, different channels, different vital parts of the body, including these 7 chakra systems. So Nadi Shodhana is one technique for creating balance through the Ida and Pingala. And these nadis exit the body through the nostrils in this model. And actually through sort of the 3rd eye and down. So we will discuss one technique of Nadi Shodhana. There's different ways to do it. The way that I do it is the one that I'll share. And one thing, a couple of points to remember of this, we talked about this with Nico here and a couple of other people. If your nose is plugged up, it might not be useful to do Nadi Shodhana. I'll show you sort of techniques to build to Nadi Shodhana that are sort of half techniques, which might be easier if the nostrils are stuffed up. And if you have, you know, we have biology. So my left side is more open than my right. And a few years ago, I learned that all of the sinus cavities in this side of my head are larger. I know. So you might find things you don't have to try to make a problem out of. If you push too hard, it's a lot of air pressure flowing through the sinuses. It can create some issues with the ears. If there's obstruction, it can create some vertigo. We've had vertigo. I've had people improve their hearing. You know, so be gentle with your head organ. This is important. And if you're going to sit down and do Nadi Shodhana, it would be useful to do a little bit of movement because we're sort of holding the arms in a position. We want to keep that a little bit relaxed. So for the Ashtangis, you know, after asana is always a good time. Magda had some great insights in how her breath changed before and after asana sequence. So it's there's a natural flow there. So before we get into how you hold the hand, we're going to do a simple technique called Analoma Ujjayi. Actually, we won't even do Ujjayi, Analoma. So for now, the Ashtangis here, let go of the Ujjayi. You're just going to breathe through both nostrils and not control the flow of the breath with the throat. Okay? And this is Analoma. Analoma means with the grain. And this is a technique that helps to support the development or the cultivation of exhale. And in the system exhale, you can go. I have a kid pantomiming me. So the exhale is the side of the breath that is used generally for cleansing, cooling the body. And inhale is used more for stimulating, nourishing, strengthening the body. Basically, we can manipulate them to create different effects. So Analoma no Ujjayi is a technique to emphasize exhale. So we'll take the breath together. I'll sort of guide a few breaths. So we're going to inhale. We're going to take the right hand, index finger, close the right nostril, exhale left. Take the hand down in that pause. Inhale both nostrils, no throat control. Take the left hand, exhale. Okay. Inhale, two nostrils. If you like to visualize, you can think of the air coming to the third eye residing. Right finger comes up, exhale left. In that pause, the hand comes down. Inhale, two nostrils, holding in the third eye. Left hand comes up, closing left, exhale right. Inhale both sides. Right hand comes up, exhale left. Inhale both sides to the third eye. Exhale left. Okay. And then just pause for a moment. Analoma no Ujjayi. So feeling just the nostrils. And notice just for a few breaths, if you notice any sensation in the nose, cooler, heating, anything. And then, so that's a technique all on its own. You can do Viloma Ujjayi. So if you're a little bit congested, focusing on exhale only is a good way to practice that. And then Viloma Ujjayi is in the other direction. So we're going to exhale everything out. Take the right finger, inhale left. Hand comes down, exhale both nostrils. No Ujjayi, that's a habit. Left hand comes up, inhale right. Good, pause the third eye, exhale both nostrils. No Ujjayi. Right hand comes up. Pause at the third eye, exhale both nostrils. Left hand comes up. Inhale right. Exhale both sides. One more round. Inhale left. Pause at the third eye. Exhale both sides. Inhale right. Exhale both sides. Okay. And then pause. Notice for a moment if this feels any different than after the first technique. So this is the foundation for this Nadi Shodhana. In the tradition, Usually people start by breathing in or out on the left side before the right side. That's a detail, not so important. So Nadi Shodhana is a combination of those two techniques. So first we do with the finger. This is, my teacher calls this kindergarten pranayama, with the finger. Okay? And then we can learn a mudra if you want. I still do kindergarten pranayama. So we're gonna take the right hand first, close the left nostril here at the little squishy part. Inhale left. You're going to release the hand, switch the hand, exhale right. You're going to stay here. Inhale right. Hand comes down, switch hands, exhale left. And then pause a moment, okay? So it's like a X, I always think of an X or a little bow tie, you know, for fala pasta. There you go. So there's different ways of combining left and right. This is the way that I typically use. You can keep the visualization of the third eye. This is one of the intersecting points of the Eden Pingala before it comes down. Throat remains open. There's no ujjayi contraction. And if you've done years of practice with folk using ujjayi regularly, it might be hard to let go of that, but the throat stays open. And then if you want to have some of the fancy techniques of the mudra, Murki mudra is the thumb and the ring finger control this action. The other fingers come down, you know, it's a little bit like what T, you know, the pinky just sort of follows. You can have a sticking up pinky if you really like. But the other fingers are folded down and these two fingers do the valving. So a detail that's important, when you close one side completely, you close it here at the end of the lip. When you're inhaling or exhaling through a side, you move the finger up to this intersection of the bone and the cartilage. So in theory, as you work more in detail with Nadi Shodhana, this side isn't completely open. You can still put a little pressure or keep it more open. You can manipulate the valve with this finger. So we'll do that. Or you can do with the one finger. This is always good. A little more movement for the shoulders. So we'll just do 6 rounds together and I'll guide you. So you can put the mudra on, closing the right side, finger on the bone cartilage intersection, and inhale left. Switch always on the exhale. So now the thumb comes up, the finger goes down, and exhale right. Keep the mudra there. Inhale right. Exhale, switch the fingers, left down, right up, and exhale, right, left. Inhale, left. Right finger moves down, thumb moves up, exhale, right. Keep the mudra there, inhale, left. Switch, the thumb comes down, ring finger goes up, exhale, left. The right shoulder stays relaxed, the jaw is relaxed. Inhale, left. Switch the mudra, exhale, right. Inhale, right. Switch the mudra, exhale, left. One more round each side. Inhale, left. Switch the mudra, exhale, right. Last breath, inhale, right. Switch the mudra and exhale left. Release the hand. Pause a moment. So far we've just worked with inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. This is a perfect place to work and to be. As we work towards doing a little bit more playing with the breath and changing the breath, we become more aware of the space between inhale and exhale, like we did when we did the strong manipulation at the beginning. But now in the pranayama seated technique, remember there's 4 parts of the breath: the inhale, the pause, exhale, and pause. The pauses require a little more attention because we don't often do them consciously throughout our day. Although we do them unconsciously often. Me, for example, if I'm focused and thinking and stressed, I'm holding my breath quite often and I feel like I can't breathe sometimes. So holding the breath after inhale can create an energizing, nourishing, stimulating effect, or it can trigger your system to recognize it's in a state of stress. Exhale, the pause after exhale is a little more comfortable to work with as far as triggering the body into a relaxed state. But as Nico found, it can sometimes trigger a little bit of discomfort and fear, this like emptiness. It's very empty, that breath. So these 4 parts wake up a little bit in the practice as you start to use Nadi Shodhana, because at the very least, we have this little switch of the mudra. Release the mudra, bring it back up, release the mudra, and bring it back up. Takes, if you have 2 4-second pause, you can release the mudra in that time. So the spaces, the still point between the breath starts to arise as we do a more complex technique. And so I wanted to move towards working with a little more sophisticated control of the breath. So a few of you sent me sort of what you were finding with your long inhale, long exhale. People tend to like this part, and people who hate math sometimes get triggered. So if you're not a math person, I'll help you through it. This is part of my dharma, is helping non-math people. But I know I have at least a couple of math people here, so it's all good. So in this tradition, there's 2 kinds of breath. There's the samavritti, which means that each of those 4 parts of breath are the same length. You either recite the same mantra at each point in those 4 points, or vishamavritti, which is what most of us find in our natural breath as we work to expand it. There's very few people, none that I've ever met, who have equal parts of their breath as they start to work with it. Many people tend to have a longer exhale than inhale, and usually a smaller percentage of people have the reverse. So just be aware of where you are on that. And so what I propose for part of the home study, doing the first 2 weeks practice for like a year will be perfect. If you want to try something different, you can work with Nadi Shodhana, doing the same kind of practice, just feeling the breath expand using the technique. If you like to get into numbers, I'm going to show you some numbers. Don't be afraid. Let's see. I'm going to share this screen one more time. So this is from the handout I gave you. So some of you sent me sort of what the length of your breath looks like. So this is an example of somebody whose breath is about 30 seconds long. So long inhale, long exhale. Some of you might look at this and think, oh my God, like that's way beyond my breath. Some of you may find this about what you're finding, and some of you may find it a little bit shorter than the deep breath you're finding. So I just sort of chose this as the we do in asana. If we have a more complicated asana that we want to perform, we need to prepare the body. And then we need to give the body a chance to sort of come to neutral again. So assume the body and the breath. The first 2 breaths we take is just a 6-second inhale, 6-second exhale. This can be metronome, or you can just pay attention in your mind. Again, the numbers are just taking the place of mantra. Next time I'll introduce mantra instead of counting numbers. So you take 2 breaths at about 12 seconds, inhale, exhale. Then you take 2 breaths a little bit longer, now 18 seconds, 8-second inhale, 10-second exhale. So warming the breath up. So this is what many of you were already doing naturally as you took your 12 breaths. The first breath, the second breath, expanding. This is just more systematic. Then you expand, exhale. And then this red is sort of the peak posture, if you will, the peak pranayama sequence. And you do this for a little bit longer. And some of the teachings say that if you can sustain a particular breath technique and ratio, 12 breaths, that's a demonstration of mastery of that particular technique. And so remember, don't get too hung up on this stuff, because these techniques are just tools to help us remember what we already are. So use them in that capacity in whatever way serves you in this moment. So this is just an example. And then after you've been able to build up and sustain for 12 breaths, you come down to a simpler breath threshold. And again, back to where we started, which was about a 12-second breath, and then just be still. At any point in this sequence, you can pause. Maybe as you warm up, you might feel before you do the larger breath, you need a pause. Just stop, and your breath will be ready. It is preparing your breath. And this is a particular Vishama Vritti ratio. There are many different kinds. You can combine numbers for people who like numbers. You can look at this as a ratio of 2, 1, 3, 1. You can add 5s and 3s and all your favorite numbers for the number of people. Otherwise, just work with the 4 parts of the breath. Some of you have some personalized versions of this for a longer or shorter breath threshold. And for those who find this doable, it's something you can work with. And I gave a couple other examples here. If you change this ratio of 2, so the base number of this one example is 4. So 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 4 is 12. 4 is the base number, so that's a 2, 1, 3, 1. And this is when the non-math people start to glaze over and the math people get excited. If you change the base number to say 5, the breath threshold becomes significantly larger, or just reduce it to a 3, it becomes much more simpler and manageable to do. This particular ratio isn't sacred in any way. You can work with whatever ratio works for you. I think Magda, I gave a different ratio to. It's just to sort of support you to build up and work with a deep breath threshold. And when you start to do this work, you don't have to do this 3 times a day. It's not like the first exploration. If you do this once a day, that's pretty awesome. And building the breath up this way, as you try to make a slower and deeper breath, you will start to find the way the body integrates together. So the question you had, Olga, with the connection with the belly and the chest and integrating that, in my experience, working with a deeper breath, you begin to feel what your body needs to do to allow that deeper breath to happen. And that's, for me, one of the best ways to work, because then you can intellectualize it, you can deconstruct it with modern anatomy, and it all makes sense. But when you start to feel, okay, if I activate the rib cage a little differently, then it has a different effect. And because you've done the yoga for breath class with me, that pranayama ratio we do there is very different than this one, but it has a different effect on the chest and the breathing muscles. So crazy people, you're welcome to integrate Nadi Shodhana technique using this ratio, this sort of building sequence of breath pranayama. But do any version of this that you like. As Danny had said, he's finding it very useful just to feel the flow of the breath, and like that's where we should all work with. The details and complexity can make it more challenging, but it shouldn't overwhelm and confuse. So continue to watch the flow of the breath. You can do that with Nadi Shodhana technique, or continue with Ujjayi, and just notice how the breath impacts your system. And then if you want to take it up a notch and explore details of technique, you can come to Nadi Shodhana. And if you want to explore sort of becoming a master at a particular ratio or a particular breath threshold, then you can build up, sustain that breath for 12 breaths or so, and then come down. So that's all of the information I have to dump on you. Nico may need to go because he needs to teach soon. And if there's any questions or thoughts, ask, share. And as always, I'm on email and you can reach me anytime as well in between. Good, thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Tommy.
Thank you.
Thank you.